This episode is sponsored by Skillshare. Hey guys, Culture here. We took a little break over New Year's to enjoy the holidays. You know, catching up with family, traveling, reflecting on our year, and making goals for the coming year. Yeah, okay, that wouldn't believe me either. Would you believe me if I said I watched a whole heckin' heap of anime in that time? And while I was watching it, I realized just how many truly awful anime are out there. So I thought, instead of wading through the crud to get to the good stuff, how about I just tell you some of the anime that had the most profound impression on me? Consider it a gift for you to enjoy throughout the new year. 8 anime that you just have to see. Skillshare is an online learning community where you'll find classes covering everything from animation to writing to photography. If you want to pick up a creative hobby, start your own business, or discover yourself, then Skillshare is the place to do exactly that. Writing about yourself in particular has always been seen as an isolated hobby, but it really doesn't have to be. There's a great class called Creative Personal Writing, Write the Real You, taught by Ashley C. Ford, which lends another perspective on how to explore and present yourself through personal writing. I found the section of drawing on memories to be oddly therapeutic, and really made me more confident in myself, not just as a writer, but as a person. That's a pretty awesome reward, considering Skillshare costs just $10 a month for an annual subscription. If you needed any more incentive to join a community of like-minded, creative people, then check out the link in the description of this video. The first 1,000 people to click the link will get a free trial of Skillshare's premium membership, so you can cruise the classes and see what suits you. Give it a go. Let's start with the 2019 reboot of Dororo, the most recent anime I watched that found a spot in my heart from the very first episode. Dororo is a dark fantasy story set in the Warring States period of Japan. Against a backdrop of ceaseless civil wars, famine, and disasters, we find Daigo, a feudal lord. To save his domain from starvation and death, Daigo makes a pact with demons and offers as sacrifice his firstborn son. When the time for his son's birth comes, he is shocked to find the baby born without skin, eyes, ears, or limbs. Yet the baby still lives, clinging to life. Daigo abandons the child, presuming it to have died in the following days. Of course, we wouldn't have a show if that were the case. The baby survives, growing up to become a fierce swordsman named Hyakimaru, who uses his sixth sense, the ability to detect demonic energy, to hunt down and kill ghouls and demons. On this journey, he meets the titular Dororo, an adorably upbeat and wily orphan child who acts as the perfect contrast to Hyakimaru, doing plenty of talking for the both of them. Dororo enlists Hyakimaru's skills to slay monsters and earn rewards from townsfolk, while Hyakimaru doggedly pursues the 12 demons who took his body from him at birth in order to reclaim them. As Hyakimaru gains back his body, Dororo both relies on his strength and tempers Hyakimaru's demonic urges to keep him human. Without a doubt, the charm of the series is due to Dororo's persistently positive outlook, but what makes Dororo shine is how dark Hyakimaru's character is, not to mention the atrocities occurring throughout the land. This show can get dark. Cannibalism, torture, and abuse of innocence occurs over and over in the show, reinforcing the idea that Buddha has abandoned the people of Japan and left it barren, an uncompromising hellscape. As someone who's naturally attracted to darker subject matter, I was hooked based on the premise alone, but the first moment that really grabbed my attention was the gruesome body horror as Hyakimaru regains each body part. If you're into dark stuff with beautiful animation, then you'll want to check out Dororo. I didn't mean to be so dark right off the bat, so let's go right to the other extreme, an anime that's just for laughs and doesn't take itself too seriously, Sakamoto Desu. I mean, I could sell you on Sakamoto just by showing you the OP alone because it absolutely bangs, but a summary can't hurt either. Sakamoto Desu is about the absolute coolest high school student you could imagine, Sakamoto. He's stylish in everything he does, bringing flair to even the most mundane of tasks and never losing his composure. Each episode is split into 2 or 3 short stories in which Sakamoto demonstrates his social guile, winning over his classmates or investigating Japanese social norms. As with any comedy, I can't really just describe the jokes. Think of it as the opposite of cringe comedy. Instead of laughing at someone completely failing to gracefully navigate a situation, you instead laugh at the absurdity of how perfect Sakamoto is. Perhaps Sakamoto's only flaw is that his curiosity can seem downright weird, with many of the characters suspecting he's an alien. Sakamoto's pure heart keeps you from resenting his perfection and leads to some genuinely touching moments that aren't just funny, but leave you with that warm, fuzzy feeling too. With short episodes, Sakamoto is a low-commitment, unique comedy that constantly one-ups itself. Hajime no Ippo, on the other hand, is one hell of a ride, a boxing anime that sees the titular Ippo striving to become the best boxer in the world. The start of the show is simple enough. Ippo, a shy high school student, is constantly bullied by his classmates. There's no reprieve at home either, as Ippo tries to help his single mother run a fishing business with every spare moment he has. Ippo gets the nudge he needs when a professional boxer from the nearby Kanagawa gym, Takamura, saves him after he's taken a serious beating. Takamura and the others at the gym see Ippo's fighting potential, and he decides to pursue professional boxing, though that road isn't nearly as easy as he might think. Hajime no Ippo's concept may be painfully simple, but the execution is superb. Each of Ippo's matches pit him against a foe that perfectly pushes him to become a better fighter, whether that's through power, technique, or spirit. You also get to know his opponents, becoming invested in their journey too, as they usually become recurring characters. Ippo's determination is fierce, and every match has you on the edge of your seat wondering who will win, with everything able to turn on a dime with just one good punch, one rallying cry, one final push from either combatant. Hajime no Ippo is a long ride, yes, but the ride pays off as you get more and more invested in every single match. You know that feeling you get in an incredibly hyped up moment of a fight when both fighters are past their limits and you somehow want them both to win? Hajime no Ippo is the embodiment of that feeling. Of course, fighting isn't for everyone. There are plenty of other ways for someone to express their spirit, even with comedic morality storytelling. Okay, when I attempt to translate the idea into English, it sounds dumb, but I'm talking about the Japanese art of rakugo. Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju tells the cross-generational story of a series of rakugo performers. As each rakugo performer learns their craft, their own issues force them to personalize their style of storytelling and put a new spin on rakugo, keeping the ancient art form alive into the modern day. Principally, we follow Kikuhiko, also known as Yakumo. The names get kinda confusing as they're usually stage names inherited through the generations. Kikuhiko, an orphan taken in as an apprentice under a master rakugo performer, has his heart opened up not only by the art form, but by another apprentice as well, Sukeroku. Sukeroku's easygoing, reckless nature is both a source of anxiety and inspiration for Kikuhiko, creating a tense yet passionate friendship between the two men. This push-pull relationship between the two men is definitely the focal point of the anime, sometimes veering dangerously close to BL territory. Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju lives on its characters and their relationships. I struggle to think of any anime with better developed characters. That's because the show leverages its rakugo performances to create a window into their minds. The rakugo performances are mainly left to stand on their own with minimal dramatization, the voice work and realistic gestures of the characters showcasing their skill level and emotional state. I loved hearing these classic stories for the first time, and some of them are genuinely entertaining if not funny, even to a foreigner like me. As the series goes on, the rakugo can, at times, dip into a spiritual interlude as the performer connects the meaning of the story with the problems in their own lives. And these are the moments where your throat chokes up, where you realize how rakugo acts as the spine of these people's lives. If the emotion of storytelling is a little too subtle for your tastes, then how about a show where the emotions burst into life through colorful, dynamic explosions of willful psychic powers? Mob Psycho 100 is an absolute joy to watch for every frame. The story is pretty simple. Like Hajime no Ippo, we have a shy kid called Shigeo Kageyama, nicknamed Mob because he's so inconspicuous that most people don't even notice him. Little do they realize that Mob is actually an incredibly powerful Esper, basically a psychic who can see spirits, move things with his mind, and all that other good stuff. Here's the thing though, Mob's psychic abilities become more powerful as he unleashes his repressed emotions, pulling him from his emotionally detached stupor into passionate action. Mob's main counterbalance is conman Reigen Arataka, a fake psychic who mainly uses lip service to ease his clients' troubled minds. Reigen takes on Mob as an apprentice after realizing he has real psychic power and offers to teach him how to master his powers, all while having absolutely no idea how to do so. Ironically though, Reigen's street-smart attitude does indirectly give Mob the emotional advice he needs to mature and gradually learn to control his immense power, but not without a few missteps along the way. Mob's relationship with Reigen is the biggest draw to Mob Psycho 100 for me, but the more obvious attraction is the fight scenes. The fluid, forceful, fanciful strokes as Mob blitzes across the screen in all his psychic glory are pure eye candy, making you feel every impact. It really is a sight to behold. If you thought Mob Psycho 100 was an obvious choice for this list, you're gonna love my next entry. Hunter x Hunter. For those uninitiated few, Hunter x Hunter is about a boy named Gon who wants to become an expert hunter so that he can find his dad. Hunters are essentially free agents who specialize in hunting down certain things. That could be monsters, treasure, recipes, ancient artifacts, or even people. Yeah, this show can get pretty dark when it wants to. Of course, not just anyone can be a hunter, so Gon's first task is to pass the hunter exam, a ruthless test that sets the tone for the series. Gon's main friend through all of this is another boy, Killor, whose position as the son of an infamous family of assassins has got him pretty messed up inside. Even after the exam is finished, the burden just gets heavier and heavier for these two kids. I mean, it should almost go without saying, but Hunter x Hunter is just a spectacular anime. The way it deftly maneuvers between light-hearted reveries and incredibly dark moments in the opening arc alone is enough to hook you in. The trials and the ways the characters approach them are clever without dipping into edgy self-satisfaction. The power system explained later on is also incredibly adaptable while still having a clear set of rules. Characters aren't disposable, but you'll be heartbroken if you get attached to any one character for too long. And yet, that's the beauty of Hunter x Hunter. You love every character. And the twists and turns in the story are just brilliant. If you love shonen battle anime, you must watch Hunter x Hunter. Sometimes, though, you just want a bit of light-hearted fare to keep you entertained. A bit of that wholesome goodness that you just don't get nowadays. In that case, great teacher Onizuka has got you covered. Aikichi Onizuka is an ex-biker gang member who spends his time perving on girls hoping to fulfill his fantasy, finally losing his virginity. Okay, maybe it doesn't sound that wholesome so far, but when he sees the command a teacher has over a girl he's dating, Onizuka decides to become a teacher with nothing but dirty thoughts in mind. Wait, hold on, please, I do promise you this gets wholesome soon. When he finally gets the teaching job, Onizuka realizes how crappy the relationship between the teachers and their students is, how the formality and rigid rules of education are leaving behind kids who rebel against structure. He pledges not to take advantage of this position of power to date high school girls, and instead resolves to reach out to the students in his class and solve their personal issues one by one, imparting his own personal philosophies onto them through action. Sometimes by radical, illegal, and superhuman action, but action nonetheless. Oh, and yeah, maybe he hopes to hook up with some of the kids' hot mums too. I suppose it's not all wholesome. Great teacher Onizuka is carried by its humour, particularly the stupid faces Onizuka makes at certain points. The plots can get ridiculous, and the more dramatic moments can feel like an after-school special, but I just find the show really charming. It's unique, it hasn't just come off some isekai printing press, and more than anything, Onizuka is a super likeable guy. He's totally and completely flawed, but well-intentioned and determined, making him an absolute joy to watch as he jumps to each unpredictable solution. Of course, I couldn't write a list of anime that left a lasting impression on me without the granddaddy of them all, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. If you've watched our stuff for a while, you probably saw this one coming. Hell, I even have a whole mini-series about the show over on Scriptease. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a cross-generational story about the Joestar bloodline, a family of typically just, powerful, and clever fighters who combat vampires, ancient superhuman beings, serial killers, and crime syndicates. Yes, it changes a lot. Each arc of the show follows one Joestar family member in their struggles, which leads to very different villains each time. At the beginning of the third arc, the series' main power system is introduced. Stands. Stands are avatars which the stand user can summon to fight on their behalf. Each stand has some special ability and a unique form, and how the stand user can leverage these strengths and minimize their weaknesses determines who will win the stand battle. The brilliance of this system shines in the later arcs when the stands become more diverse, switching from a pure focus on combat to occasionally having odd but situationally powerful abilities. The power system is why JoJo's works, it's a solid foundation, but the reason JoJo's is loved is, well, it's in the title. This show is bizarre, absurd, ludicrous, offbeat, and just plain weird at times. You probably know that JoJo's is responsible whenever you see a meme that makes absolutely no sense and you don't know where it's from. In a deadly serious moment, a character can make an entirely absurd analogy and everyone just rolls with it, or sometimes the stand abilities will put characters into, compromising positions. Seriously, sometimes the show practically devolves into being a gag anime, and yet at the end of it, you get to a super hype moment in a battle, and the ridiculousness of these characters' lives is forgotten, and all you want is for them to put down the main villain because, and this is another thing, the villains are all so good. So well written, so unique, so detestable. So you take amazingly clever writing, then you package it in the brilliant presentation of David Productions' animation, audio mixing, and editing, and you get quite possibly my favorite anime. The best parts of JoJo's are in the details, so you just have to watch it to get what everyone is talking about. Across all 8 of those suggestions, you should have enough watch time to occupy you at least until our next episode comes out. Of course, we're always looking for cool anime to watch as well, so throw your suggestions down in the comments. See you all soon.